Alrighty guys, we're back for some basic training, and this is a Lost Caverns of Ixalan standard brew, and I'm Red Cat. Let's go over the deck, then hop right into some ranked. We're rocking all four Savior of Ollenbock. A 3 mana, 1/2 human soldier with training, and whenever it trains, exile up to one other target creature card from the battlefield or a creature card from a graveyard. Now, whenever Savior of Ollenbock leaves the battlefield, you put the exiled cards onto the battlefield under their owner's control. Really neat card, man, which reminds me, this was a suggestion in the comments to try out Savior of Ollenbock, so I put together a little human list to try it out with. So, of course, what's really neat is it acts as removal. You pick up your opponent's creatures that you really don't want to be on the battlefield or you don't want to have them blocking, right? Or you could pick up cards from your own graveyard, so that way once Savior of Ollenbock is inevitably removed, right? There's a ton of removal, a ton of board wipes all the time. You're taking stuff out of your own graveyard. Once it's removed, you get a bunch of your cards back. So it's kind of like a reanimator spell in a sense. So that's pretty cool. And we can always keep that graveyard nice and stocked up with cards like Guardian of New Benalia. This is a 2 mana 2/2 with Enlist. Whenever it enlists a creature, you scry 2, which goes a long way. Scrying in general just goes a long way. So now you can discard a card. Guardian of New Benalia gains indestructible until end of turn. And then you tap it, unfortunately, but indestructible, dude. I'll tell you what. Of course, it doesn't get around like Sunfall and stuff, which is probably why we don't see as much Guardian of New Benalia nowadays. But if you're discarding cards and you're discarding creatures, maybe you can eventually pick them up with Savior of Ollenbock, which all of that sounds really, really neat, right? So we do have other incredible humans in here, like Thalia, of course. Got a couple of them. Not opting for 3 or 4 this time round, because one of the main cards is actually Virtue of Loyalty. Only a 3 of this time round. 5 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and then you untap those creatures. So we have stuff that work well with like that whole untapping of your creatures thing, like 3 Knight-Errant of Eos. Of course, that convoke cost, restocking your hand with Knight-Errant happens to be pretty darn good too, and it is a human, so it fits that theme as well. Also, don't forget the adventure side on Virtue. Of course, you get that 2/2 Vigilant Knight. That Knight is not a human, so it doesn't get buffed by things like Coppercoat Vanguard, but everything else does, right? So each human gets +1/+0, Ward 1. There's going to be a lot of ways in here to kind of like get around our opponent's removal and or our opponent's board wipes. Like we also have Anointed Peacekeeper too, so all 4 of them. 3 mana, 3/3 with Vigilance. That gets around things like Wandering Emperor and stuff too. So in the CTBs, you look at the opponent's hand, you choose a card name, any card name. It doesn't have to be in their hand, by the way. Spells your opponent's cast with the chosen name cost 2 more to cast. So realistically, you're probably going to just want to pluck those Sunfalls out of the opponent's hand with Peacekeeper anyways. So they'd have to find like spot removal for the Peacekeeper and then eventually play their Sunfall after the fact, but that's why like you want that ward from the Vanguard or just taxing them with the Thalia too. So a lot of neat things like that, huh? Cool ways to go wide with Adeline, of course. Incredible human. Going wide works really well with the Virtue of Loyalty too, just buffing wide, and then same thing, buffing your wide board state with like Intrepid Adversary is going to be pretty good. And Intrepid Adversary being a 3/1 works well with the training on the Savior of Ollenbock. Of course, can train up from like a Thalia, and then you can train up again with like an Intrepid Adversary, so that's pretty neat, right? We have more ways to train in here too. I called it basic training for a reason. We have Hopeful Initiate, which helps us pick up artifacts and enchantments too, so that's nice. Recruitment Officer is going to be an excellent 1-drop in here as well. Just incredible humans, man. Holy cow. Excuse me, guys. We also have Warden of the Inner Sky here. This is a 1 mana, 1/2 human soldier. As long as Warden of the Inner Sky has 3 or more counters on it, it has Vigilance and Flying. That's nice. Tap 3 untapped artifacts and or creatures you control. Put a +1/+1 counter on Warden of the Inner Sky. Scry 1. Nice. So again, the scrying really does come in handy in aggressive decks as well. So now activate only as a sorcery, unfortunately, but if you do end up tapping down your creatures for that extra counter, then maybe Virtue of Loyalty ends up untapping them too. So that like if you're in like a locked down board state, or even if you're competing against like a mid-range style deck, I think we have a ton of sustainability over here and a ton of ways to just continue to give our creatures some growth as well. Since it is a human build, maybe we can stop some counterspells with all 4 Cavern of Souls. I think those are going to go a long way. I have a couple Mishra's Foundry too. I find that the creature lands have been very, very helpful in like the past month or more. Because I keep running into those darn board wipes, and if they somehow get past the Peacekeeper and the tax and the wards and all that other stuff, right? Then just having more stuff to swing in with sounds really good to me. I think this is going to be excellent. 16 plays, 16 planes and a Seat of the Empire, of course, right? Because Savior of Ollenbock probably isn't enough removal. Maybe we even want like 2 Seat of the Empires. Speaking of not having enough removal, maybe we want some Brutal Cathars in here. Resolute Reinforcements could have been a good one too. Invasion of Gobakon almost made the cut, and Lunarch Veteran, same concept, dude. Actually, all of the honorable mentions can easily be slotted into this one. I'll tell you what, dude. So many ways to put humans together. I think this is going to be a neat one, though. Either way, let's go ahead, take it into some ranked, and see how we do. All right, we'll see if we can get right into that first game. In the meantime, what am I expecting from the list? I think it's gonna be good. I like Savior of Ollenbock is a really neat card, but I actually don't know how good it's gonna be because of all the removal. So it's really gonna come down to what are we gonna be able to keep onto the board. Oh, that took a while, didn't it? Oh, well, I rambled right through it anyways. Well, regardless, right up against some mono black would not be a bad test at all. So let's see what the opponent's bringing to the table. Right, Savior of Ollenbock. Yeah, let's see what we can keep on the board with, like, you know, Anointed Peacekeeper being able to hit a lot out of their hand, probably. In this scenario, like hitting Shieldred or something too. So, oh, buddy, yeah, this is going to be good. Vat of Rebirth, guys. Whenever another artifact or creature you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put an oil counter on Vat of Rebirth. For 2 and a black, you can tap this, remove 4 oil counters, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. Oh, and they had to sacrifice a creature there. Okay. I don't like the Vanguard play if this is the type of stuff they're going to be rocking, but it's also not worth not playing something for the turn, you know what I mean? We got to try to get something down. Liliana, oh boy, guys.
Fight finished before brunch.
So for the +1, we probably go for planes. Savior of Ollenbock needs setup for the attack too. Peacekeeper. Let's go Peacekeeper and try to get some removal out of their hand. Okay, Bitter Triumph. That's a fine hit, isn't it? If they want to spend all 4 mana on a Bitter Triumph, that's fine by me. Right? I'm okay with that. Let's do it. Fanatical Offering's a problem too, though. Like that extra draw. Yeah, it's Bitter Triumph. Yeah, I think so. Because we don't want them to just spend 2 mana on the Triumph, take out Peacekeeper anyways, and then still be able to play the Fanatical Offering, regardless. If they don't spend 4 mana, oh, well, they found removal off the top for it anyways, guys. Oh boy. I want to keep Savior. I want to be able to do 2 things next turn, because we can't go into a Liliana lockdown, right? Like, if they see one off the top, they go -2 on Liliana, take out our only creature anyways. I really want to go Savior of Ollenbock, though. Okay, I'm sorry, Adeline. Oh, no. Hopefully we don't see a planes off the top. There's any amount of just creatures in general. They go for the discard on the Bitter Triumph. Okay, Virtue of Loyalty. Yeah, not bad, dude. For the -2, we're going to have to go for Recruitment Officer, unfortunately. Just Just uphill battles, man. And they still have the draw on the Phonetical Offering, too, so restock their hand with a bunch more removal. The perfect first test for this deck, dude. Holy cow. Very awesome, man. That's the first oil counter on Vat, by the way, so that's good. Artifact or creature doesn't count the Liliana, so if they go -2. It's not going to be Liliana number 2 for the turn, so they're probably going to +1 for choose a discard, and then for the map token, it's not a cut down in hand. That's huge for us, man, because our swing means we just pick up that Sheoldred. Okay, they go plus. Yep, so we pick up Sheoldred. And we full swing at that Liliana, take care of it. And then hope that they don't top deck removal. Guardian's pretty good. Alright, swing at that Liliana, get the training, pick up the Sheoldred. That's cool, man, that's cool. Liliana's out of the equation, and we're gonna get everything down. Especially... Oh. We could see on top. What? Why could we see on top of their deck there? What did they do that made it so that way we could see that? Dockside Chef. Well, I'm missing something somewhere. Yeah, why could we see that? Not 100% certain. So unfortunately, with how training and enlist works, I don't believe the training on the Savior will go up, but it's still going to be worthwhile to enlist here anyways, I'd say, right? Okay, let's do this. So enlist the Guardian. I think how the ordering works... Yeah, we won't get the training. But the Scry 2 is so good, man. Peacekeeper, yeah. I'd say that's totally worthwhile. Literally any creature worthwhile here. Not the officer ability for the turn. It's just get the Warden down, probably. Like they're gonna chump the Guardian. I don't blame them for the chump, because that's the third counter on the Vat of Rebirth. They go for the sacrifice. That's right, it can sacrifice itself. Nice, opponent. I wasn't even thinking about that. So they do get the card draw there, too. So what do you guys suppose the odds of a board wipe is? I'm just going for it. Like, we do see Path of Peril sometimes, even without a splash of white. So... nice, it was land. That's huge for us, dude. Let's see what's in the opponent's hand. It's a land. All right, let's just stop the what's it called? Virtue of Persistence. If they see a land off the top, we'll make sure we stop that now, right? We definitely want to enlist this again. And I suppose we'll swing with these. Enlist on that one. That's fine. Totally fine, man. Cavern of Souls. GG, opponent. GG. Great sustainability there. I liked what the opponent was trying to do with their version of Mono Black. Dockside Chef. Really neat creature. Probably. Yeah, I mean, definitely deserving a spot in a build like this. So the whole time I was super concerned about more Lilianas off the top. They saw a lot of mana. With their 7th one in hand. Hold on. It was so worth hitting that Virtue of Persistence on the Anointed Peacekeeper. But even then, they didn't have too much to pick up there. They needed some spot removal for the Savior. And that, yeah, in this one in particular too, Savior had trouble actually training up again. If we could have trained up one more time, outside of removal, picking up like any of these would have been okay, but probably like Adeline, right? Pick Adeline out of the grave, then when they do kill the Savior, they get their Sheoldred back, but we also get an Adeline. Next turn, since we got the Peacekeeper, we were going to go for that training too, so yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That was nice. little bit of a different version of mono black though too, so you know, that might be a bit of a jankier version. If we see like the meta mono black, can we still be sustainable? Yeah, probably. I think so. I think we have the cards in here to do an all right job against most of the meta, but we'll see. Opponent goes first. Got a 1, 2, 3. I don't mind this at all. Get our 1 down. Is it gonna be out of here? Guardian of New Benalia is great against mono red if that's what it is too. Like the indestructible. Stopping the burn for a little bit. Mana for the turn, huh? They top deck that? They just want to keep a play with fire open for the turn too. Alright, I'll get the Mishra's Foundry down. Let's see what happens off of a swing. And instead of Virtue of Loyalty, it's probably just going to be Guardian to set up for next turn. Start scrying as soon as possible here. And then also a tough one for them to remove when we have the discards for days. Like, we don't need all these extra planes right now. Nothing from the opponent, guys. That's pretty surprising, man. Even like a play with fire to our face, maybe they're pretty satisfied with their hand. Okay, Feldon's pretty good, man. That's good, because our block isn't great here then, because we don't want them to see too much off the top, so we're just going to take the 3. Going to go Monstrous Rage on it anyways. Big extra damage from the opponent for the turn. Commando flips next turn. Maybe they wanted to play the Commando late to set up their Godric play. Maybe. At 13, you guys don't suppose we die next turn, do we? Like, do we still get a swing here? Yeah, maybe it's Savior of Ollenbock for the turn, but Adeline's a great blocker on the ground if we need it. But, like, setting up Savior, and then it just gets burnt away right away, too, is probably Adeline. And I'm okay with trying to outpace here a little bit, right? But not too much. I'm still going to keep that Guardian back as a blocker, too. Or scry, risk, Adeline doesn't get picked up. All right, let's do it. Let's risk it, man. I really like this, what this Guardian has been doing for us these last couple. Coppercoat, we don't need the planes. Definitely keep that Coppercoat on top, though. Boy, oh boy, could Ward go a long way. Opponent's down to 13. Yeah, let's see what this Adeline's able to do. Because if we can survive the attack, oh boy, yep, 4th mana Godric and like another Monstrous Rage would be devastating, or anything for that matter. Yep, we're in trouble, dude. So they swing. They swing for 10, and if we let it go through, Monstrous Rage ends the game. Oh, swing for 8. I don't think they have 5. So can we win next turn? No, they have that chump blocker, unfortunately. The Vanguard comes down, and then the Virtue. We're still going to try. We're still going to try something. Gonna be just the buff from Godric, luckily, so no removal. So like no play with fire open, for example. Okay, down to 4. Godric wraps this up next turn because we don't have a flyer anyways, so we're just gonna do our dandiest. Coppercoat Vanguard. So the we want to keep you open, right? Swing will enlist. I think we lost. But at least we're forcing a block here, right? Then swing, and we'll tap you down. Or if they had more chump blockers, I wouldn't enlist here. But they have 1 chump blocker for one of our big creatures anyways. Anointed Peacekeeper. At this point, we'll have 5 mana next turn. I'm actually just going to send it because I'm pretty sure we die next turn. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe they don't power up that Godric. Maybe they don't have flying. And we have blockers on the ground for days, so... Huge amount of damage, dude. Holy cow. Yeah, so let's see what that Godric is able to do. And instead of Adeline, if I would have set up with Savior, we could have picked that up. But again, easy for Mono Red to burn that Savior when we don't have things like Coppercoat on the board, which now, of course, we do have that Coppercoat. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Charming Scoundrel. Yep, that powers it up. Easy peasy. I was going to say, starting with that play with fire, I guess there was a chance of them not powering anything up. But Godric flies in the air anyways. Womp womp. With that 5th mana next turn too. Tough business, man. I guess they don't know what's in hand, so they are completely playing this out, because this could be spot removal, huh? But it is not. I will drop the Ardenvale Fealty, and we will chump the Feldon. Power up that Godric further. Yeah, so if they needed even more... Actually, might as well trade with Feldon since we're dying this turn, right? GG opponent. I think that could have gone either way, honestly. I do. It's feeling pretty good. Our deck was kind of operating smoothly. So risking the Ollenbock Savior... Or, yeah, Savior of Ollenbock. Risking that was probably the best. Well, maybe not. Would have been a lot smaller of a swing. I'll say this. I think it was really good for the opponent to hold back that blocker for the turn instead of swing. Since, again, they didn't know it was in hand either, so... Yeah, excellent play from the opponent, making sure that they had that chump blocker ready. Cool stuff so far, man. I think the deck is performing well. Taking a little bit longer to find matches right now. I'm not sure if that's because I'm playing a little bit later than I usually play, or if it's just like how many people are playing in January right now, or... Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on there. This is good. I like this. We have a chance of seeing the 3rd mana in time. But if we don't, just like more 1s and more 2s is totally fine for a couple extra turns as well. I like it. Yeah, more 1s and 2s are fine because we can eventually convoke out the Knight-Errant. Oh, we found the mana anyways. Nice. Start with Warden of the Inner Sky, then we'll go Cavern of Souls next turn. Instead of the Plains. Okay, the Sleeper gets passed. Oh, gonna be removal. Okay. So Guardian of New Benalia is gonna be pretty good against this list, probably, right? Yeah, we'll call human on this. It doesn't look like anything's gonna be countered. But it also looks like it doesn't matter if the opponent knows we're playing human, so... Thalia's pretty good, but I'll tell you what, that Guardian, though, might be a little better right now. I'm going to get it down and set up just like the Indestructible Man. Because Thalia means 3rd Swamp could come down and then just go for the throat for 3 mana. But Guardian, on the other hand... What do I want to discard? One of the Saviors, probably, right? They might spend all their mana here. They're going to. Okay. All of the mana has been spent, and we're going to get rid of 1 Savior. That's fine. Totally fine. If we go... Thank you, opponent. If we go Savior now, I don't plan on blocking here. Savior probably gets picked up by spot removal, but... Wait a minute. Was that giving me the option to enlist? Would have been strange. Maybe it gives you the option even if you don't have any creatures. Woo! Obliterator. Well, luckily, Savior of Ollenbock picks that up, but then they plan on blocking with Sleeper then, probably, I can imagine. Or not. Okay. I'm okay with this. I'll take that damage. Pick up Obliterator. Or... yeah, we're gonna swing. Pick up the Obliterator. I guess it's Thalia for the turn then, huh? That's fine. Pick for 4, Thalia. Why, thank you, opponent. Dropping all the nice. Let's see if Thalia does enough tax here to, at the very least, slow them down for the Savior. Liliana, I think we get rid of...
Something suspicious.
what do I get rid of?
For once, it's not my fault.
The Thalia, right? I think it's Thalia.
Haven't you ever heard?
Oh, tough decision there, guys, but luckily they had to spend all 4 mana on that. I'm gonna keep a blocker back to save the Liliana too, so it might be Knight-Errant for the turn. Savior of Ollenbock. Unfortunately, we're struggling to actually get the second training off on the Savior, which is definitely something to note when it comes time. Okay. Yep, no attacks for the turn, but we want to make sure we play around. Want to make sure we play around the Liliana +1. Okay, 2 creatures, huh? Mana value 3 or less. I don't mind the other Savior, but it's got to be like... okay, Adeline, I guess Savior as well. GG opponent, wow. Dang, dude. They must not have had a lot in hand, I'll tell you what. They must not have had a lot in hand, right? Because, like, simple removal on this Savior, bring back their Obliterator, could have been huge. I guess the second Savior. So it probably was going to be Adeline and the third Savior of Ollenbock, right? That way we could continuously play around them removing Ollenbock. We just have the other one down on the board. Try to keep training up, which actually the training would have continued to go with this Adeline on the board too, which hopefully we get to see that at some point. Get a couple trainings off on the Savior of Ollenbock. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. 27 minutes into the recording. Let's keep the ball rolling here. That's always good. It's always great, no matter what version of Mono Black you're going up against. It's always great to get a victory. Speaking of Mono Black, this might be more. Oh no. The Sheoldred avatar. Woo, good hand. We're curving out really nicely too. I'd like to see Warden of the Inner Sky do a little bit more today. That would be nice. Okie dokies. We'll see. Hello, opponent. Hello there. No cut down from the opponent. Let's see that go for the throat. Life Otoshiro. Nice. Probably gain life then. I can imagine, yeah. Okay, Anointed Peacekeeper. Knight-Errant. It's Peacekeeper. I do it before combat because I guess... oh! They have a lot of big things here. Liliana, though, for sure, right? Stop that Liliana of the Veil. That slows them down for an entire turn unless they top deck something huge. The more life gain off of the life. So we have an option here. We have an option here. We go like... we go Knight-Errant. Well, we can go full swing. I think it's going to be Peacekeeper for the turn. Because the Vigilance works well with all of our tapping creatures. And then we get to peer into their hand a little bit further. Yeah, that's better than anything else here, I'd say. I guess, like, Rankle's Prank is fine. Rankle's Prank. There we go. Sorry, opponent. Take it forever. Because they get their 4th mana down. Life of Toshiro's a blocker. Now they can't play the Prank. Yeah. Gotta feel bad. They dropped the GG. They dropped the GG, but I mean, technically, they're still in this, but they don't know we have Seed of the Empire. So we get the 10 through that way too. If Memory of Toshiro had first strike, then the Seat of the Empire would have been much better there. Realistically, what we wanted to do is just make sure that we survived the turn regardless of what was in the opponent's hand too. So like keeping the Vanguard on the board is key. So if their one card draw happened to be happened to be anything that gained them life or anything like that, had perfect amount of damage. What I'm getting at from that little ramble is I was making sure to play it out regardless of what was hitting the opponent's face, because there was still one unknown factor in the opponent's hand there. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Holy cow. Feeling great so far. Hopefully we get to test it out against a larger variety here for the end of the video, because we're 30 minutes in. I have time for 1 or 2 more games easily, so... what do I want to go up against? What do I want to test this? Oh, dinos maybe? I could see that being fun. Oh, ew. I don't mind the hand. I'm saying ew to the double Mishra's Foundry at the beginning here. I think there's going to be plenty of moments where we want double white on the board. This is fine though. Yeah. We'll keep it. A lot of stuff to draw into. But we're going to need that double white eventually. I just don't think it's a mulligan hand either. Probably start with Guardian of New Benalia over the Vanguard. Then go Vanguard. Depends what we end up drawing though. There's the opponent's card sleeves. It might not be dinos. Dino rats? No. Oh man. Deserted beach, huh? Oh, wow. You know what? Maybe we do start with Vanguard, right? Because we had double Vanguard to begin with. So if we go Vanguard and it survives, and then the second Vanguard, right? They give ward to each other. They buff each other. But now that we got the third Vanguard, it's just like, well, yeah, I guess this is what we do. We'll see if it lands. If it doesn't, oh, nice. I was going to say, if it doesn't, we still have Vanguard in hand. Pretty good, actually. We go Vanguard next turn, too. On turn 4, we already have, like, the Intrepid Adversary if we want. Dude, come on, man. That's just mean at this point, right? All 4 Vanguards. You know what that means, guys. Board wipes incoming. That's what that means. Braided net, so that... What does it do? It stops activated... So they tapped us down, first of all. And its activated abilities can't be activated for as long as it remains tapped. Okay. Luckily, no activated abilities there, but this is disgusting. I don't even know. I don't even know what the plan is there at that point. Definitely take action. Both Foundries actually could have come in handy against a control-heavy deck, so... Yep, they still have this available, but the wards are going to cost them a little bit to start to target these. So if we go Vanguard again... Oh, Anointed Peacekeeper could stop the board wipes for a couple turns, guys. That's really good. We should. We shouldn't... Yeah. We definitely shouldn't risk the Vanguards. Peacekeeper was a really good draw. We need to knock the Sunfalls out of the opponent's hand for a couple turns. Populate. Unstable Glyph Bridge. Oh no, guys. They have 2 unstable Glyph Bridges, but either way, this depopulate's gonna... This is gonna be rough, dude. Holy cow. 6 mana depopulate. I mean, at least the unstable Glyph Bridge lets us keep something. No, it doesn't. Power 2 or less that player control. Dude, we're just in trouble, huh? I guess 3 board wipes in the opponent's hand. I guess we call the populate. That's gonna be rough, man. They don't have the 5th mana yet, though, guys. As a matter of fact, if they don't get the 5th mana off the top and we have this swing for 11, they found the 5th mana. Well, we have a great setup in hand still, so we have to think, we have to play around the other glyph bridge, and the depopulate is back down to 4 too. So if we go Guardian, at the very least, it gets around the, well, the populate's at 4 again, so. We just swing with Mishra's Foundry. That's not great, is it? All right, guys. Guardian of New Benalia. We just, like, pass. Anything else? Well, if it's... Okay. I guess we have to... No, we don't. No, we don't. We're fine. We're passing. We know they have 2 more board wipes in hand. Guardian still gets picked up by -5/-5. Like, the Indestructible doesn't get around the Mightstone Weakstone. But, like, anything else, if we play anything else, they're going to attempt board wipe. And then we go Indestructible on Guardian, right? And then they have another board wipe for the turn after. I just like holding back is totally fine, I think. Mightstone Weakstone, yep. So this gets the Guardian out of the equation. Yep, gets around the Indestructible, so we definitely don't want to discard. So now, I want to play it slow. Intrepid Adversary number 2, huh? Okay. Let's do this, man. Let's do this. I'll pay that gladly. Play it as slow as possible, which seems a little silly, but... Yeah, even if they missed that 5th mana that one turn and found it the turn after, like, we had a big swing, but we'd still be struggling to push that last 3 damage through, so... Well, maybe not. Mishra's Foundry could have swung a couple turns in a row. Thousand Moon Smithy, that's a 5/5. Warden of the Inner Sky. Populate. They probably don't want to board wipe next turn, right? Go for the Knight-Errant of Eos. See if we can find a couple 2-drops. Anything. Any 1-drops. Anything that restocks our hand a little bit. Oh, no. We missed. We missed, guys. If I had one more creature, we would have hit an Adeline, but even then, that's it. Demolition Field on the Foundry. No more creature lands for us, guys, and we definitely want to take that action. Plains. Oh, dude, we can totally get there against control. Come on, huh? So this is Azorius artifact control, right? With the Mightstone, Weakstone, Thousand Moon Smithy, definitely rocking those artifacts for a reason. They go ahead and flip here. I guess at that point they just wipe the board. Yeah. And then every time they play an artifact or something, they generate more of those. Okay. Well, they have one more board wipe in hand. If we do anything that buffs above power of 2, I guess at this point it's just like Intrepid Adversary. Instead of like doubling down or anything fancy. Which they still probably just wipe the board because they want to play an artifact with the barracks anyways. Well, no, they don't, because then their barrack artifact would be, because of how like the ordering of that works. Yeah, that would be wiped with it, so. Oh, they found a Mightstone Weakstone, though. So that just goes -5 onto the adversary. Dude. The opponent's deck looks rough, man. Oh, they just go draw. They're not even concerned about the adversary. I mean, at that point, since they're going to be generating gnomes every turn. Fabrication Foundry. Oh, Market Gnome. Opponent's deck is cool, dude. Rocking like the braided net too. Like they haven't had to use the braided net. So like we're dead. Like there's not a lot of ways around this, right? So let's just play everything out and see what the opponent has for us. Like, Intrepid Adversary doesn't even get above the gnome. So, like, our swing isn't even terrific either. So, and like, we knew they had the third board wipe in hand this whole time too, but like, at this point, what are we playing around when they are just going to be infinitely generating these gnomes every turn? Not a lot. Not a lot we can do. Good stuff, man. The Mightstone, Weakstone getting around that Guardian was really good for them. If this was a different style of control, I do wonder. I guess like Sunfall would have been best case scenario if it was a different style control, right? Unstable Glyph Bridge, flipping it into that 5-3. One of their win conditions. Take the 9, see what we draw. I'm pretty sure without, even if we find removal, oh. Huh. What Savior of Ollenbock could have been doing. But either way, since we cast a spell, we can't attack this turn because of the Sand Swirl Wander Glyph. That's wild, man. That's really cool. As far as control goes, man, this is my style of control. Like this. Like this opponent. It's really cool. Like, you know, I like the concept of creature generation in my control. Like, I've played, of course, like Urabrask's Forge and Jeskai control. Like, that was pretty fun too. Just like actually having win conditions. You gotta appreciate at the very least. And then also, I appreciate just like the different style of board wipes here too from the opponent, instead of just like, you know what, Sunfall four turns in a row. They actually had a little bit of variety because they wanted more win conditions with things like Unstable Glyph Bridge, being an artifact too, being cheaper with Mightstone, Weakstone. Like, I'm kind of hyping up the opponent's deck, but yeah, no, it's really cool. I like it. Foundry. If we can survive the swing with 2 blocks on the ground, one of them being adversary gain. Oh, we just need 1 block on the ground. Right? So we go there, like that. Gain 6. Okay, some spot removal from the opponent's hand for the adversary would have been game 2 because we would have lost the lifelink. Planes from hand. All right, so we go for the swing. And what ends up happening is, oh, nothing, because Ollenbock doesn't train. Crap, guys. We really struggled to get the Ollenbock training properly. They go for the Seat of the Empire, too. So what ends up happening there, which is pretty funny, because Savior of Ollenbock's a 1-2, and these are 2-2s, but they don't buff themselves, they buff each other. It just so happened that having 2 Vanguards meant everything on the board had the same attack power, too, so that's pretty silly. Perfect blocks for the opponent. Wow, dude, wow. And another thing as well, like the opponent actually running the Restless Anchorage. Actually, how come the control we've been seeing hasn't been playing the Restless Anchorage? Am I missing something? Do control players just not like having win conditions? You know what? Massive props to the opponent. Yeah, Restless Anchorage should definitely be in the control decks we're seeing, right? Right? Yeah, I might be. Maybe they don't want too many tapped lands. Maybe the tapped lands that they're opting for are life gain instead. Actually, I have no idea. I might just be terribly wrong there too, and maybe they are playing the Restless land and I just don't know it, right? Or I just haven't seen it yet, so. Here's the deck list again, guys. Pretty cool one. 43 minutes in. I don't think we have time for another one, especially if we end up going up against control. But hey, a lot of sustainability here, dude. A lot of aggression, of course, just like in general, like with humans, right? Savior of Ollenbock was actually really cool. Maybe more testing required with this card, dude. Maybe it belongs somewhere. There's a ton of removal in general, but everything like worked out exactly as you'd expect. The Indestructible on Guardian was excellent. Anointed Peacekeeper taking cards out of the equation was excellent. A little bit of tax in here with Thalia probably warrants a 3rd Thalia, but at the same time, I don't want to tax myself too much with Virtue of Loyalty. I think the 2 is fine too. And the 2 Adeline is fine as well. Like, we're not like harming ourselves too much with these legendary creatures. Like, we're not going to run into that issue too often where we have 4 Thalias and 3 Adelines in hand, and we're like, well, we're limited on options. You know, just 2 of each, totally fine. And like, they're definitely powerful enough to warrant 2 of instead of like a 1 of or something too. So Warden of the Inner Sky, I kind of struggled to actually get any situation on the board where we wanted to tap, but up against like, again, it comes down to that sustainability against certain builds, like up against mid-range, for example, or even that last deck, for example. We didn't have a lot of great swings, so maybe just going Warden of the Inner Sky with the creatures, with what creatures we were actually able to keep on the board, getting that extra scry in too. Yeah, maybe that could have changed things up a little bit. Hopeful Initiate could have really come in handy in that last game too with the whole destroy artifact side of things. So maybe we want to talk about going up some Hopeful Initiates. Probably not. I think 2 is fine. And overall, like the training just kind of felt a little awkward with the Savior of Ollenbock. Really neat card, pretty powerful in the games we saw it, but I really struggled to get like the second training off, or in that last scenario too, even the first training, right? Even though I thought it was going to be a little easier, especially with Peacekeeper and Adeline being the key component of getting that second training off. But even Intrepid Adversary, Knight-Errant of Eos, all that helps get the second training off on these two. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What would you guys add or take out? Also, like Cavern of Souls probably would have come in handy had we seen mono blue, which we're still seeing a decent amount of mono blue, honestly. And counter spells in general, you know, the make disappears and everything still make an appearance. The double Foundry was fine. The 1 seed of the Empire was fine. Depending on what you're going up against, of course, like the 2nd seed of the Empire would be pretty good too. And the 23 land felt totally fine too. So yeah, this is one of those builds where just more testing is required in general. Outside of that, I actually think it's going to be pretty decent, right? What do you guys think? What would you add or take out? What should have been at the very least in the honorable mentions, right? When we were going over the deck, the honorable mentions were very powerful cards, and all of them easily could have made this human list. So maybe you really don't like Savior of Ollenbock. Dropping them for 4 Brutal Cathars would totally work fine, right? I don't think that would change like anything in the build outside of the discard off of the Guardian, because then at that point you're not going to want to discard too many of your creatures because you're not using Savior of Ollenbock as Reanimator. But in 0 of those matches, that like it didn't do the Reanimator thing. All it did was removal, which I would assume in 90% of all the games that you see Ollenbock in, it's just going to be removal anyways. So does it even matter with the discard on Guardian of New Benalia? No, probably not. Then, of course, it always comes down to the meta you're seeing too. Maybe you are just running in face first against those Sunfall builds, so like Guardian's constantly going to be picked up from that. Even so, like the Enlist and the Scry too, it's just a super value-packed card as well. So, oh, buddy. Fun time, huh? Fun time. Yep, more testing required for sure. Hey, you guys made it this far into the video for real. Y'all are champions. I super duper appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video.